Have you ever been humiliated in front of your entire family? Have you ever watched the people you love laugh at your pain? My name is Elena. And this is the story of how my brother's engagement party destroyed me. But also how it led to the sweetest revenge I've ever tasted. 3 weeks ago, I walked into my childhood home for what I thought would be a celebration. I wore my favorite dress. I brought expensive champagne. I was genuinely happy for my little brother. But within 20 minutes, I was called a failure. I never thought my family would be the ones to break me. My name is Elena Castellano, I'm 32 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I believed that no matter what happened in my life, my family would always have my back. I believed that blood meant something. That the people who raised you, who shared your childhood, who knew every version of you from scraped knees to college graduations, those people would stand by you. I was wrong. Let me take you back to where this all started. Not to the engagement party where everything exploded, but to the years before that. To the foundation of resentment that had been building in my family without me fully realizing it. I'm the oldest of 2 children. My brother Marcus is 4 years younger than me. Growing up, we were close in that obligatory sibling way. We fought over the remote control, competed for our parents' attention, formed temporary alliances against parental rules. Normal stuff. But as we got older, something shifted. Became ambitious. Driven. I graduated high school as valedictorian, got a full scholarship to Columbia, and spent my 20s building a career in marketing and brand strategy. Marcus took a different path. He was the charming one, the easygoing one, the one who made friends effortlessly and never seemed to stress about anything. He went to community college for 2 years, then dropped out to work in retail management. And honestly, I never judged him for it. We're different people. We want different things. That should have been fine. But to my parents it became a problem. Not Marcus's choices, my success. My mother started making comments when I was around 25. Little things at first. You work too much, Elena. You're going to end up alone. When are you going to settle down and give me grandchildren? Career success doesn't keep you warm at night. I laughed these off. I was building something. I was proud of what I was accomplishing. By the time I turned 28, I'd saved enough money and had enough industry connections to start my own marketing and brand consultation firm. I called it Castellano Strategies. It was a risk, a massive risk, but it paid off. Within 2 years, we grew from just me and 2 contractors to a team of 15 full-time employees, with major clients across the Northeast. We specialized in rebranding campaigns for mid-size companies trying to break into luxury markets. Our work was featured in Forbes, in Entrepreneur magazine. I was interviewed on podcasts. I spoke at industry conferences. I was successful, really successful. And I'd done it all on my own. My parents came to my office opening. They smiled for photos. My dad shook hands with my business partners. But I could feel something off in the way my mother looked around the space. The modern furniture, the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, the team of young, hungry professionals I'd assembled. She didn't seem proud. She seemed uncomfortable. Like my success was somehow an indictment of her own life choices. Marcus was supportive, or at least he seemed to be. He'd ask about work, congratulate me when we landed a big client. But there was always this distance. Like we were living in 2 completely different worlds. Then, 6 months ago, Marcus met Sarah. Narration. 27 years old, beautiful, charismatic, working as a senior account coordinator at a marketing firm in the city. Marcus brought her to family dinner 3 weeks after they started dating, and my mother fell in love with her immediately. Sarah was everything my mother had wanted me to be. Warm, socially graceful, interested in domesticity, talking about wanting kids someday. She complimented my mother's cooking. She asked about family recipes. She laughed at my dad's terrible jokes. And she was good at her job, apparently. Marcus bragged about how she'd just been promoted, how she was managing major accounts, how her bosses loved her. I was happy for Marcus. Genuinely. He seemed more grounded with Sarah around, more focused. And if my parents loved her, great. That took some of the pressure off me. But I started noticing things. At family dinners, Sarah would dominate the conversation. She'd talk about her work projects, her career goals, her achievements. And my mother would hang on every word, asking questions, being so engaged. But when I tried to share something about my business, a new client we'd landed, a successful campaign, my mother would change the subject. Or worse, she'd say something like, "Well, not everyone needs to work themselves to death to feel valuable, Elena." Stung. But I told myself I was being sensitive. Then came the comments about my appearance. Sarah always looked put together. Designer clothes, perfect makeup, professionally styled hair. I dressed well for client meetings, but at family gatherings I kept it casual. Jeans and a nice top. Minimal jewelry. I was coming from the office most of the time and I was tired. "Elena, you should let me take you shopping," Sarah said one Sunday dinner. Her voice dripping with what sounded like concern but felt like condescension. "You'd be so pretty if you put in a little more effort. I know this amazing stylist in Soho." My mother actually agreed. "Sarah's right, sweetheart. You're so focused on work, you forget to take care of yourself." I forced a smile. "I'm fine with how I look, but thanks." Sarah exchanged a glance with my mother. Knowing look. Like they were both worried about poor, clueless Elena who didn't know how to be a proper woman. Marcus proposed to Sarah 2 months ago. It was a whole production. He rented out a rooftop restaurant, hired a photographer, had rose petals everywhere. Sarah posted about it immediately on Instagram, and within hours she had thousands of likes. My mother called me crying happy tears. My father sent a family group text with celebration emojis. I sent my congratulations. I offered to help with wedding planning. I was a good sister. But then came the engagement party. My mother wanted to host it at the family house in Westchester, the house I grew up in, with a big backyard and the covered patio where we'd had countless family barbecues. Sarah's parents were flying in from San Francisco. They were inviting close friends and extended family. It was going to be a beautiful, intimate celebration. "Please dress nicely, Elena," my mother said when she called to confirm I was coming. "Sarah's friends are all going to be very dressed up. This is an important night." I heard the implication. "Don't embarrass us." I went shopping. I bought a beautiful emerald green cocktail dress. Elegant, sophisticated, expensive. Got my hair done. I wore heels I could barely walk in. I wanted to look good. Not for them but for me. To prove I could fit into their world when I chose to. I arrived at my parents' house at 6:30 on a Saturday evening 3 weeks ago. The backyard had been transformed. String lights everywhere, a rented bar setup, high-top tables with white linen, a catering team preparing appetizers. There were already 30 people there, mingling, drinking wine, laughing. I spotted Marcus first. He was by the bar with a group of his friends, all guys I vaguely recognized from his college days. He saw me and waved, genuine smile on his face. That gave me a small sense of relief. At least my brother was still my brother. Then I saw Sarah. She was standing near the patio entrance, surrounded by a group of women. She wore a white dress, which felt like a weird choice for an engagement party, very bridal, and she looked absolutely stunning. Her friends were all dressed similarly, like they'd coordinated. Designer everything. They looked like they'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. I walked over to congratulate her. "Sarah, congratulations. You look beautiful." She turned to me, and for a split second, I saw something flash in her eyes. Surprise. Annoyance. It was gone so fast I thought I'd imagined it. Elena. You came. She air-kissed both my cheeks European style, which was something she'd never done before. Everyone, this is Marcus's older sister, Elena. The way she said older felt pointed. But I ignored it. One of her friends, a tall blonde in a designer pantsuit, looked me up and down. Oh, you're the sister. Sarah's told us about you. Smiled. All good things, I hope. Of course, Sarah said quickly. Too quickly. Elena's very career-focused. She runs a small business in the city. Small business. My company employed 15 people and had annual revenue in the 7 figures. But I didn't correct her. Not then. This was her night. That's nice, the blonde said, her tone suggesting it was anything but. I'm Jessica. I work with Sarah. We're actually both at Brightwater Marketing. Maybe you've heard of us? We're one of the top firms in Manhattan. Something clicked in my brain. Brightwater Marketing. I knew that name. We'd poached one of their junior designers 6 months ago. But more than that, Brightwater Marketing was a client of mine. Not a current one, but they had been. 2 years ago, they'd hired Castellano Strategies to help them rebrand and pitch to luxury clients. It had been a successful partnership. They'd paid us over $100,000. Which meant Sarah and Jessica worked for a company that had hired my firm. But clearly they didn't know that. Sarah had never asked me the name of my company. She'd never shown any real interest in the details of my work. And I'd never volunteered the information because, honestly, I liked keeping my professional life separate from family drama. I've heard of Brightwater, I said carefully. Good reputation. The best, Jessica said. Sarah and I are actually managing some of their biggest accounts now. We're absolutely killing it. That's amazing, I said, and I meant it. My mother appeared then, looking radiant in a pearl-colored dress. She hugged me briefly, then immediately turned to Sarah. Sweetheart, your parents are inside. They're asking for you. Sarah excused herself, taking her entourage of friends with her. I stood there, alone, holding my purse, feeling suddenly out of place at my own family's party. The night continued. I made small talk with relatives I hadn't seen in years. I congratulated Marcus again. I drank wine, maybe too much wine. And I watched as Sarah held court, the perfect bride-to-be, glowing and gracious and utterly charming. Around 8 o'clock, dinner was served. We all sat at long tables in the backyard. I ended up at the far end of one table, seated next to Marcus's college roommate and across from 2 of Sarah's friends I hadn't met yet. Sarah and Marcus sat at the center of the head table, flanked by both sets of parents. My mother kept standing up to toast them. Sarah's mother cried happy tears. It was all very touching. Then my father stood up. He clinked his glass with a fork, and everyone quieted down. I want to say a few words about my son and his beautiful fiancée. My dad started, his voice thick with emotion. Marcus, you've always been the light of this family. Easygoing, kind-hearted, the one who makes everyone laugh. And Sarah, from the moment we met you, we knew you were special. You've brought so much joy into Marcus's life, and into ours. Smiled. This was sweet. Normal. You know, my dad continued. As parents, you dream about your children finding partners who complement them, who make them better, who share their values. And Sarah, you embody everything we've hoped Marcus would find. You're intelligent, accomplished, but you also understand that family comes first. That success isn't just about work. It's about building a life with the people you love. My smile faltered. Was that a dig at me? Some people chase careers, chase money, chase status, my dad said. And now he wasn't even looking at Sarah and Marcus anymore. He was looking at me. But at the end of the day, what matters is the relationships we build, the family we nurture, the love we give. My mother was nodding along, eyes shining. I felt my face getting hot. He was talking about me. He was using Marcus's engagement party to criticize my life choices. So here's to Marcus and Sarah, my dad finished, raising his glass. May your marriage be filled with love, laughter, and the kind of balance that makes life worth living. Everyone cheered. Everyone drank. And I sat there, gripping my wine glass so hard I thought it might shatter. After the toast, people went back to eating and chatting. I excused myself from the table and went inside to the bathroom. I locked the door and stared at myself in the mirror. My makeup was still perfect. My dress looked great. But I felt like I'd been slapped. When I came back outside, I heard my name. I was walking past a group of Sarah's friends, including Jessica, who were standing near the bar. They didn't see me approach from behind them. "Can you believe she showed up dressed like that?" one of them was saying. "I know," Jessica replied. Sarah said she'd probably try to upstage her, but this is just sad. That dress is trying way too hard. And did you hear she's still single? 32. Running some tiny company nobody's heard of. Sarah said the family's worried about her. Like, obsessed with work, no personal life, probably going to end up alone with cats. They laughed. They actually laughed. I stood there, frozen as they tore me apart. These women didn't know me. They'd met me for 30 seconds. And they were speaking about me like I was a charity case. I should have walked away. I should have gone to my car and left. But I was angry. So angry. "Excuse me," I said, stepping into their circle. I couldn't help but overhear. Jessica had the decency to look embarrassed, but only for a second. "Oh, Lena. We were just talking about how pathetic I am." "Yeah, I got that. We weren't. You were. It's fine. You're entitled to your opinions." My voice was shaking, but I kept going. "I just think it's interesting that you're all so concerned about my life when you don't know anything about it." "Look," Jessica said, her tone turning defensive. "We're just being honest. Sarah's told us about your family dynamics. How you're always working, how you make everyone feel bad about their choices because you think you're so successful. This is Marcus's night. Maybe you should think about someone other than yourself for once." I felt like I'd been punched. "I came here to support my brother. Dressed like you're going to a cocktail party in Manhattan. Sweetie, this is a family gathering. You're making it about you." The other women nodded. One of them smirked. I looked past them and saw Sarah watching us from across the yard. She was standing with Marcus and my parents. And she was smiling. Not a happy smile, a satisfied smile. Like she was enjoying this. That's when I realized. Sarah had set this up. She'd told her friends exactly what to say. She'd painted me as the villain. And now they were executing her narrative. "You know what?" I said quietly. "You're right. This is Marcus's night. I'm going to go." I walked over to where Marcus and my parents were standing. Sarah joined them, slipping her hand into Marcus's. "I'm going to head out," I told them. "I have an early morning tomorrow." "Already?" My mother frowned. "Elena, we haven't even cut the cake yet." "I know, I'm sorry. But I really need to go." "Typical," Sarah said under her breath, but loud enough for everyone to hear. I turned to her. "Excuse me." "Nothing. It's just... You always have something more important to do, don't you? More important than family." "Sarah," Marcus started, but she cut him off. "No, Marcus, it's fine. If Elena wants to leave her brother's engagement party early to go back to her empty apartment and her laptop, that's her choice. We all know where her priorities are. My mother didn't defend me. My father didn't defend me." Marcus looked uncomfortable but said nothing. "You have no idea what my priorities are," I said, my voice tight. "Don't I? You've spent this entire evening looking miserable. Like you can't stand seeing your brother happy. Like his success somehow diminishes yours. It's honestly really sad, Elena." I felt tears burning behind my eyes. "That's not fair. Isn't it? When was the last time you celebrated someone else's achievement without making it about yourself? When was the last time you just showed up for this family without an agenda?" "I don't have an agenda. I came here to support Marcus. You came here to remind everyone how successful you are. How you're too good for all of us now. Look at you. You probably spent $1,000 on that dress just to make sure everyone knows you have money. I couldn't breathe. The yard felt like it was closing in on me. Elena's always been like this, my mother said softly, like I wasn't standing right there. Even as a child. Always needing to be the best, the smartest, the center of attention. I'd hoped she'd grow out of it. Mom, I started. I think maybe you should go, my mother said. You're clearly not happy here. And you're upsetting Sarah on what should be one of the happiest nights of her life. I looked at my brother. My baby brother, who I'd protected from bullies in middle school, who I'd helped with his homework, who I'd lent money to when he wanted to buy his first car. Marcus said, "You're really going to let them talk to me like this?" He looked at Sarah, then at me. And then he said the words that broke my heart. "Maybe it's better if you leave, Elena. You're kind of ruining the night." I don't remember walking to my car. I don't remember the drive home. I just remember sitting in my apartment, still in that stupid expensive dress, crying until I couldn't cry anymore. They thought I was a failure. They thought I was pathetic. They thought I was alone and sad and jealous. And the worst part, they were happy about it. Sarah was happy to humiliate me. My parents were happy to go along with it. Marcus had chosen her over me. I spent Sunday in bed. I ignored calls from my mother asking if I was okay, in a tone that suggested she didn't actually care. I ignored a text from Marcus saying we should talk soon. But on Monday morning I woke up, put on my favorite power suit, and went into my office in Midtown. I had work to do. Castellano Strategies occupied the entire 14th floor of a building on Fifth Avenue. We had conference rooms with smart glass, a break room with an espresso machine, individual offices for senior staff, and an open-concept workspace for our creative team. I designed every detail of this space. It was my kingdom. My assistant, Rachel, greeted me with coffee and my schedule for the day. "Morning, Elena. You have a strategy meeting at 10, lunch with the Peterson Group at noon, and a new business pitch at 3. Thanks, Rachel." Pause. "Can you do me a favor? Pull the employment files for anyone who's ever worked at Brightwater Marketing before joining us." She looked curious but didn't ask questions. "Sure thing. Give me 20 minutes. I went into my office and closed the door. Then I opened my laptop and did something I probably should have done months ago. I looked up Sarah Chen on LinkedIn. Her profile was polished and professional. She'd been at Brightwater Marketing for 3 years, starting as a coordinator and working her way up to senior account coordinator. Her skills section listed brand strategy, client relations, campaign management. She had over 500 connections. I clicked through to Brightwater Marketing's company page. They were a mid-size firm, about 40 employees, decent client roster. Nothing exceptional but respectable. Then I did something else. I logged into my company's financial system and searched for Brightwater's name. There it was. 2 years ago, they'd paid Castellano Strategies $127,000 for a 6-month rebranding consultation. The contract had been signed by their CEO, Michael Chen. Sarah's last name. I pulled up the original proposal and contract. Michael Chen, CEO and founder. I did a quick Google search. Michael Chen, 54 years old, founded Brightwater Marketing 15 years ago. Originally from San Francisco. Wife named Linda. 1 daughter. Sarah's father owned the company where she worked. Suddenly, Sarah's rapid promotion made more sense. She wasn't climbing the ladder through merit. She was the boss's daughter. Rachel knocked and came in with a folder. I found 2 employees who previously worked at Brightwater. Danielle Hart, one of our junior designers. She left Brightwater about 9 months ago. And she paused. "This is interesting. We actually have a current contract with Brightwater. They reached out 4 months ago about a potential partnership for one of their luxury clients. It's still in negotiations." My heart started beating faster. Who's the point person on their end? Rachel flipped through the file. Looks like it was initially brought to us by someone named Jessica Torres. She's listed as a senior account coordinator. Jessica. Sarah's best friend. The blonde who'd mocked me at the party. And the client they want us to help with? Belmont Hotels. They're trying to rebrand their boutique line to appeal to younger luxury travelers. It's a potential $200,000 contract for us. I sat back in my chair. Sarah and Jessica both worked at Brightwater. Brightwater was in negotiations with my company. And neither of them had any idea I owned Castellano Strategies. Rachel, can you get me all the correspondence related to the Brightwater partnership? Every email, every proposal, every meeting note. Of course. Is everything okay? Smiled. Everything's perfect. Just doing some due diligence. She left, and I spent the next hour reading through the entire communication history between my company and Brightwater Marketing. The partnership had been Jessica's idea. She'd reached out through our website contact form 4 months ago, pitching a collaboration. She'd claimed Brightwater had a major hospitality client that needed specialized rebranding expertise, something our firm was known for. My business development director, Karen, had taken the meeting. The emails were professional at first. Jessica seemed competent, knowledgeable. But as I read deeper, I started noticing things. Jessica had name-dropped several of our previous clients, claiming she had inside knowledge of how we worked. She'd mentioned specific strategies we'd used for campaigns, information that wasn't public. She'd essentially used proprietary information to make herself sound more credible. Then I found something else. In an email from 6 weeks ago, Jessica had forwarded an internal strategy document from one of our campaigns to her personal Gmail account. The email was in our system because she'd accidentally CC'd one of our junior associates instead of her Brightwater colleague. That document was confidential. It contained client information, pricing structures, strategic approaches we'd developed specifically for that client. And Jessica had stolen it. I felt cold rage settling in my chest. Kept digging. I searched through our system for any other correspondence with Jessica's email address. And I found more stolen documents. 3 more to be exact. All forwarded to her personal account. All containing proprietary information. This wasn't just unethical. It was illegal. Corporate espionage. Theft of intellectual property. And then I found the final piece. 2 weeks ago, Sarah Chan had been CC'd on an email from Jessica about the Belmont Hotel's pitch. In the email, Jessica wrote, "Hey Sarah, attached is the pricing breakdown and strategy approach from Castellano. We can definitely use this as a template for our own pitch to Belmont. They'll never know. Small firms like this don't have the resources to track this stuff." Sarah had responded, "Perfect. My dad will love this. Might even give us both bonuses if we land Belmont without having to pay for external help." They were planning to steal our work, use our strategy, cut us out of the deal entirely. And Sarah's father, the CEO of Brightwater, was apparently in on it. I printed every email, every document. I compiled a folder of evidence that would hold up in any courtroom. Then I called Karen, my business development director, into my office. Karen was 50, sharp as a razor, with 20 years of experience in the industry. She'd helped me build this company from the ground up. I trusted her completely. "We need to talk about the Brightwater partnership," I said. She sat down, looking concerned. "Is there a problem?" I handed her the folder. "Read this. All of it." She spent 15 minutes going through the documents. I watched her expression change from confusion to shock to fury. "They're stealing from us," she said finally. "They've been stealing from us for months. Yes, this is grounds for a lawsuit. Multiple lawsuits. Theft of intellectual property. Breach of confidentiality agreements. I know. We need to contact our lawyers immediately. We need to. Karen." I leaned forward. "I need you to trust me. I have a personal connection to this situation. And I want to handle it my way first." She studied me. "What kind of personal connection?" "The kind where I went to my brother's engagement party 3 days ago and his fiancée humiliated me in front of my entire family. And his fiancée is Sarah Chen, daughter of Brightwater's CEO. And her best friend is Jessica Torres. The same Jessica who's been stealing from us." Karen's eyes widened. Oh my God. So here's what I want to do. I want to schedule a meeting with Brightwater. In person. I want to present the Belmont Hotel's strategy. The real one, not the watered-down version they've seen. I want everyone there. Michael Chin, Sarah, Jessica, their whole team. And then I'm going to show them exactly who they've been stealing from. Karen smiled slowly. I love it. But Elena, are you sure? This could get messy. Family-wise. My family thinks I'm a failure. They think I'm jealous and petty and alone. They chose Sarah over me. So yes, I'm sure. Okay. She stood up. Let me reach out to Jessica. I'll tell her we're ready to move forward with the partnership, and we want to do a full presentation. Perfect. Schedule it for this Friday. 3 p.m. Tell them the CEO of Castellano Strategies will be personally presenting. Don't mention my name. They're going to lose their minds when they see you. That's the plan. The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. I worked with our creative team to put together the most impressive presentation we'd ever created. 60 slides. Full rebranding strategy for Belmont Hotels. Market research. Consumer psychology. Visual mock-ups. Everything. I also contacted our lawyers and had them prepare cease and desist letters and a lawsuit draft. Just in case things went the way I expected them to. On Friday morning I woke up early. I went to the gym. I got my hair blown out. I wore my best suit. A charcoal gray Tom Ford with a silk blouse and my favorite Louboutins. I looked powerful. Felt powerful. 2:30 Rachel buzzed my office. The Brightwater team is here. They're in conference room A. Perfect. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Let them wait. I wanted them comfortable, relaxed, unsuspecting. At 2:45, I walked into conference room A. The room went silent. Michael Chen sat at the head of the table, a distinguished-looking man in his 50s with graying hair and an expensive suit. Next to him was a woman I assumed was Linda, Sarah's mother, who apparently also worked at the company. And Sarah. And Jessica. Then 3 other Brightwater employees I didn't recognize. Sarah's face went white. Jessica looked like she'd seen a ghost. Good afternoon, I said pleasantly, setting my presentation materials on the table. Thank you all for coming. I'm Elena Castellano, founder and CEO of Castellano Strategies. I believe we have some business to discuss. Michael Chen looked confused. I'm sorry, I think there's been some mistake. We were told we'd be meeting with the CEO. That's me. Smiled. Karen's my business development director. She reports to me. As does everyone else at this company. Sarah found her voice. Elena. What are you doing here? I work here, Sarah. I own this company. Have for 4 years now. Thought you knew that. Although, given that you and your friend Jessica have been stealing proprietary information from my firm for the past 4 months, I suppose it makes sense that you didn't do your due diligence on who you were stealing from. The room exploded. Michael Chen stood up. I beg your pardon. What are you accusing? I'm not accusing anything, Mr. Chen. I'm stating facts. I opened my folder and pulled out the printed emails. These are communications between Jessica Torres and Sarah Chen, discussing how to use stolen documents from my company to pitch Belmont Hotels without paying for our services. I have 17 separate instances of intellectual property theft. I have proof of breach of confidentiality agreements. And I have evidence that suggests you, Mr. Chen, were aware of and endorsed this behavior. Jessica was shaking. That's not, we didn't. You didn't what? Forward confidential documents to your personal email. Discuss using our strategies without credit or payment. Tell Sarah that small firms like this don't have resources to track this stuff. I looked directly at her. Would you like me to read your emails aloud, Jessica? Because I have them all right here. Sarah stood up. Elena, you're taking this out of context. You're doing this because you're angry about the engagement party. You're vindictive and I'm vindictive. I laughed. Sarah, you spent 3 days ago telling everyone at my family gathering that I'm a failure. You let your friends mock me. You told my parents I was ruining your special night. You convinced my brother I was jealous of your success. I leaned forward. But here's the thing. I wasn't jealous. I was successful. More successful than you could have imagined. And you were too self-absorbed to even ask what I actually did for a living. Michael Chen looked at his daughter. Sarah, what is she talking about? It's nothing, Dad. Elena's she's Marcus's sister. She's upset because your daughter humiliated me, I said calmly. But that's family drama, Mr. Chen. This is business. And in business, theft is theft. I have grounds to sue your company for damages in excess of $500,000. I have grounds to report both Sarah and Jessica to industry ethics boards. I have grounds to ensure neither of them ever work in marketing again. The room was dead silent. Linda Chen, who hadn't spoken yet, looked at her daughter with something like horror. Sarah, tell me you didn't do this. Mom, I can explain. Did you steal from this woman's company? Sarah's eyes filled with tears. We were just trying to be competitive. Everyone does this. Everyone. Everyone does not do this, Michael Chen said, his voice hard. This is corporate espionage, Sarah. This could destroy our reputation. This could. He turned to me. Ms. Castellano. I had no knowledge of any of this. If what you're saying is true, it is true. And I have lawyers ready to file suit as of Monday morning. Please. Give me a moment to process this. He looked at Jessica. You're fired. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Jessica started crying. Mr. Chen, please, I have rent. You should have thought of that before you stole from a client. He turned to Sarah, his own daughter. And I saw the disappointment in his eyes. Sarah, we'll discuss this at home. But as of right now, you're suspended without pay pending an internal investigation. Dad, you can't. I can. And I am. He looked at me. Ms. Castellano, what will it take to make this right? We'll pay damages. We'll issue a public apology. I want a formal written apology from Sarah and Jessica. I want a settlement payment of $300,000 for theft of intellectual property. I want both of them to sign agreements that they will never work in brand strategy or marketing again. And I want you to withdraw from the Belmont Hotel's pitch and recommend our firm instead. Michael Chen didn't hesitate. Done. All of it. I'll have contracts drawn up by end of business today. I looked at Sarah. She was crying, mascara running down her face, looking nothing like the polished woman who'd mocked me 3 days ago. One more thing, I said. I want you to tell Marcus the truth. I want you to tell my family what you did. And I want you to explain to them that the small business I run is worth more than Brightwater's entire annual revenue. Elena, please. Those are my terms. Non-negotiable. Michael Chen nodded. She'll do it. Today. I gathered my materials. Then I think we're done here. My lawyers will be in touch, Mr. Chen. I hope we can resolve this amicably. I have no desire to destroy your company, just to ensure justice is served. I walked out of that conference room with my head high. Behind me I heard Sarah sobbing. I heard Michael Chen yelling at his team. Heard chaos, but I felt nothing but satisfaction. That evening I was at home drinking wine on my couch when my phone rang. It was Marcus. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Elena. His voice was strained. I need to talk to you. Can I come over? Now, please. It's important. 20 minutes later he was at my door. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept. He came in and sat on my couch, and for a long moment, he just stared at his hands. Sarah told me everything, he said finally. About what she and Jessica did. About how you own the company they stole from. About the meeting today. I sipped my wine. And I'm so sorry, Elena. I'm so fucking sorry. I didn't know about any of it. I didn't know you owned Castellano Strategies. I didn't know how successful you really were. Sarah never told me. She always made it sound like you ran this tiny little freelance operation. She wanted you to think I was a failure. Yeah, I see that now. He rubbed his face. I was such an idiot at the party. I let all of them talk to you like that. I chose her over you. And you're my sister. You've always been there for me. Always. And I threw you away for someone who turned out to be a thief, liar, a manipulator. He nodded miserably. I broke up with her. Tonight. After her dad called and told me what happened. I can't be with someone who would do that. To anyone. But especially to you. I felt a complicated mix of emotions. Relief. Vindication. But also sadness. Because despite everything, I'd never wanted to destroy Marcus's happiness. I'm sorry your engagement ended, I said quietly. Don't be. You have nothing to apologize for. I'm the one who, Elena, can you ever forgive me? For what I said at the party. For not defending you. I looked at my little brother. He was crying now, and he looked so much younger than his 28 years. I forgive you, Marcus. You got manipulated. It happens. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not. But you're my brother. And I love you. Even when you're an idiot. He laughed through his tears. What about Mom and Dad? Sarah's supposed to tell them everything tomorrow. They're going to lose their minds. Good. They should. They chose her over me too. They feel terrible. Mom's been calling me all night. She's devastated. She should be. She told me I was ruining Sarah's special night. She implied I was jealous and petty. She made me feel like I was worthless. I know. And she's going to have to live with that. But Elena. They love you. They got blinded by Sarah's act. We all did. I didn't respond. Because part of me wasn't sure I could forgive my parents as easily as I'd forgiven Marcus. The next day, Saturday, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. Finally, I answered. Elena. She was crying. Please. We need to talk. Your father and I. We need to see you. We need to apologize. For what exactly? For everything. For how we treated you at the party. For believing Sarah's lies. For not seeing how successful you've become. For, her voice broke. For being terrible parents to you. For making you feel like you weren't enough. I'm busy this weekend, Mom. Please. Lena. I know we don't deserve your time. But please. Give us a chance to make this right. Against my better judgment, I agreed to have dinner with them the following evening. Sunday night. At a restaurant, not their house. Neutral ground. My father looked like he'd aged 10 years. My mother's eyes were red and swollen. We sat in a booth in the back of a quiet Italian place. And for the first few minutes, nobody spoke. Finally, my dad said, Sarah came by yesterday. She told us what she did. What she stole from your company. How she and her friend had been planning to screw you over. Yes. She also told us how much your company is worth. How successful you really are. How she'd been downplaying your achievements this whole time. He looked at me. Elena, I don't know what to say. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of how we treated you. How I made that toast at the party and used it as an opportunity to criticize your life. You made me feel like my success was something to be ashamed of, I said quietly. Like being ambitious and driven and building something was somehow a character flaw. My mother reached across the table. I pulled my hand back. Don't, I said. Don't touch me like we're okay. We're not okay. I know, she whispered. I know we're not. But please let me say this. I was jealous of you, Elena. I was jealous of your ambition, your independence, your success. Because I gave up my career when I had you and Marcus. I chose to be a stay-at-home mom, and I never regretted it, but watching you build this incredible life made me question my choices. And instead of being proud of you, I resented you. And that's on me. Not you. Me. You let Sarah humiliate me. I did. Because she represented the version of you I wished existed. The version that chose family over career. The version that fit into my idea of what a woman should be. And I'm so sorry. I felt tears coming, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not now. Do you understand how much you hurt me? Yes. Both of you. You're my parents. You're supposed to love me unconditionally. You're supposed to be proud of me. But instead, you made me feel like I was failing at life because I didn't get married and have kids by 30. You're right, my dad said. We failed you. We let our own insecurities and outdated values poison our relationship with you. And I don't know if you can forgive us. But I hope, eventually, you'll give us a chance to earn your trust back. I looked at both of them. These flawed, complicated people who'd raised me. Who'd loved me in their imperfect way. Who'd hurt me so deeply but who were, at least, owning their mistakes. I need time, I said. I need space. I can't just go back to family dinners and pretend everything's fine. We understand, my mother said. Take all the time you need. We'll be here when you're ready. I left that dinner feeling not healed but maybe slightly less broken. Over the next few weeks, things settled into a new normal. Michael Chen's company paid the settlement. Sarah and Jessica both signed the agreements prohibiting them from working in marketing. Belmont Hotels hired us exclusively, and the campaign we created for them ended up winning an industry award. Marcus and I started rebuilding our relationship. Slowly, carefully. He came over for dinner once a week. We watched movies. We talked about everything except Sarah and the engagement party. We were finding our way back to each other. My parents sent flowers to my office. They sent a card apologizing again. I responded with a brief text. Thank you. I'm still processing. Please be patient. They were. And me. I kept building my empire. We hired 3 new employees. We expanded into influencer marketing. We opened a satellite office in Boston. I dated a little. Nothing serious. But I went on a few dinners with interesting men. I traveled to Barcelona for a conference. I bought myself a designer handbag I'd been eyeing for months. Just because I could. I still think about that engagement party sometimes. About how Sarah's face looked when she realized I owned the company she'd stolen from. About how my father apologized in that restaurant. About how close I came to losing my entire family because of one woman's jealousy and manipulation. But mostly I think about the lesson I learned. That sometimes the people who should love you most can hurt you deepest. That success can make people resentful. That standing up for yourself can feel lonely and terrifying but is absolutely necessary. And that revenge, when delivered with precision and justice, can be incredibly sweet. Sarah tried to contact me once, about a month after everything imploded. She sent a long email. Full of apologies, excuses, explanations. She claimed she'd been insecure. That my success had made her feel inadequate. That she'd lashed out because she was afraid Marcus would realize she wasn't as accomplished as she pretended to be. I read the email once. Then I deleted it. Because here's the thing about people like Sarah. They're only sorry when they face consequences. They're only apologetic when they get caught. And they'll absolutely do it again to someone else if given the opportunity. I heard through Marcus that she moved back to San Francisco. That her father's company took a significant reputation hit. That Jessica was working at a Starbucks because nobody in marketing would hire her. I felt no guilt about any of it. They made their choices. They faced the consequences. As for me, I'm thriving. My company just hit 8 figures in annual revenue. We're being featured in Business Insider next month. I was invited to speak at a TED conference about women in entrepreneurship. And I walk into every room, every client meeting, every networking event, every family gathering, with my head held high. Because I know exactly who I am and what I've built. Nobody can take that from me ever again. The other day, I was having coffee with a potential new client, a young woman in her 20s who was nervous about pitching her startup idea. She kept apologizing for taking up my time, for bothering me, for not being more prepared. I stopped her. Don't apologize for taking up space. Don't apologize for being ambitious. Don't ever let anyone make you feel small because you're reaching for something big. She looked at me with such gratitude, and I realized. This is why it all mattered. The humiliation, the revenge, the justice. Because now I get to be the person I needed when I was sitting in my car outside my parents' house, crying and broken. Now I get to be the woman who shows other women that success isn't something to apologize for. That ambition isn't a character flaw. That you can be powerful and vulnerable and complicated and still worthy of love and respect. My name is Elena Castellano. I'm 32 years old. I'm the CEO of a multimillion-dollar company. I'm a sister, a daughter, a friend. And I'm finally, truly proud of exactly who I am. So to everyone out there who's ever been told they're too much, too ambitious, too focused on work, too independent, too successful for their own good, don't you dare shrink yourself. Don't you dare apologize for taking up space. Build your empire. Wear your success like armor. And when people try to tear you down, remember, they're only threatened because you're shining too bright for their comfort. Let them be uncomfortable. You keep shining. And if they come for you, well, you know where they work. And maybe, just maybe, you own the place.